right, everyone, we'll get started. Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Anthony Covington of 1 Million Cups Houston, and we're here to get started this morning. If you're wondering what all this stuff is ahead of me, you are about to find out with this colorful display. Again, I'm Anthony Covington of 1 Million Cups. This morning we have two presenters, but quickly I'm going to do a couple of quick announcements, and then I'll bring up our first presenter. This week we have quite a few events. There's the Energy Digital Summit that is a little bit later on today, 11:30 at 410 Pierce, HTC. In addition, we have the Lean Startup Meetup Group, which will be tomorrow at Start Houston. I believe it will be 6 p.m. That's on Delano Street in Edo. In addition, next month we will have Startup Grind. Startup Grind will feature Mr. Michael Patton of Longwood Ventures, and he will be discussing exits. A lot of companies talk about getting in and getting started, but he'll be talking about exits for that one. That will be June 10th. It will be at Reed Gray and Associates, which is here in the Galleria. That's it. I have a few more announcements set for the end, but I would like to bring our first presenters up, Couch2Kitchen Kids Edition. Someone might have to change the presentation. So, yeah, one of you have to change the presentation. I just click on the mouse to change it until you change it. So you'll mute this mic when you're talking. Okay.
Hi, we're Couch2Kitchen Kids Edition, and we're on a mission to get kids off the couch and into the kitchen, cooking from the colors of the rainbow.
So it all started with me. I got sick because I kept eating sweets and junk food, so I had to stop. But I tried medicine and everything that could get away my sickness, and nothing worked. So the only thing that could work was eating healthier. But I didn't want to, so I had to eat healthier.
Couch2Kitchen is a kid-led program, and we're about to teach kids. Couch2Kitchen is a kid-led program, and we're teaching kids how to cook rainbow style. And our business is not any old cooking business. It's actually fun and exciting. And we're teaching kids the tools and how to cook safety.
With Couch2Kitchen, we'll be showing kids different cooking techniques. We'll be teaching them safety. We'll be teaching them the colors of the rainbow, which is healthy fruits and vegetables. And we'll also be teaching them just to have fun while cooking. Cooking shouldn't be a boring, long, not exciting experience. Cooking is all about having fun and using your creative abilities to create something that tastes good while you like it and everyone else likes it.
So Couch2Kitchen is basically getting the kids off the couch watching video games and playing and doing TV, and getting in the kitchen and doing awesome culinary masterpieces.
Even though there's an increase in healthy food eaters, kids still are influenced by their bad influences out in the city. So, with Couch2Kitchen, we'll be influencing kids around the nation to start eating healthy and getting in the kitchen with friends, parents, anyone they'd like to cook with.
There's a series of kid culinary webisodes that we're going to be doing. So it's going to be teaching kids the guide-by-guide step through on how to cook different masterpieces, and we're also going to be using different silicone utensils. These are our products, and we have moving ones and ones that you can use to bake or freeze.
And our target market is mostly elementary students because our little business owner right here is an elementary student, and my rest of my brothers and sisters are all also in elementary school. I'm in middle school though, so I can say personally that middle schoolers need this too. But just in case you don't get it while you're in middle school, we have plans for a college edition, which is cooking good in cramped spaces. And college edition is basically going to prevent that first freshman 15, which is like those 15 pounds you gain when you're first in college. You know what I mean.
So our solution is making kids want to eat healthy. Yeah, and our competitors are like Curious Chef, Tobolo, yeah, the Kitchen Mr. Head Chefs, and now we're competing against them. And we hope we can win.
Our sales channel, what we plan to be doing is we're doing online pre-sales. We have an e-commerce store set up in our website, which is now fully launched. We're going to go to schools, do PTO things, do fundraisers for them. We're going to go out, distribute and sell majorly across the nation. And we also plan to just sell and go spread the word as a family. Just have fun. And what we've been doing so far, we have ads that we've been showing to get the word out of our e-commerce store. We've been going to events and trade shows. We've been on the news a couple of times. We've been on the radio. We all have blogs on our businesses. We're trying to get into some magazines, and then we're starting online advertisements to get people who are online a lot to know about Couch2Kitchen.
So we all have milestones. On May 3rd, we had Lemonade Day, which is basically the quickest and most fun to get a kid to jump into entrepreneurship. And then we also launched our business a few days ago, and we have a Kickstarter, which you can online donate for our store. And in our store, we're pre-selling items with these fun utensils that we use to cook around. And then we all have challenges.
Well, but also through Lemonade Day, since we made enough money, we were able to buy our first product over the seas. We were able to buy in wholesale. We were able to buy a lot of our product, and now through Kickstarter, we're going around and we're going to raise money to buy the rest of our product, as you can see here. And a few of our challenges is we need the startup capital to buy our product. We don't really have that much experience in online retail. We all are still learning on our technical skills on like how to fix up our website and keep updating our blog. But other than that, we're pretty set. And our future plans.
Well, we have Teens Edition coming, which is for all the teens. They can learn how to cook because from Kids Edition we have teens, and then we have College Edition, which is the cooking in cramped spaces.
And we plan to do more educational components and add and teach smaller kids the basics about cooking and just about life. We also we're going mobile with Couch2Kitchen, so people on the go can just see and just study Couch2Kitchen, anything they'd like to know, just work up on their cooking skills. And we just going around also spreading the word to schools and PTA.
So we have a big team. We have me, we have Chef Chandler. Hi, my name is Chef Chandler. I'm 7 years old, and I am surely a former drunkaholic.
I'm Chase. I'm 13 years old. I'm in the 7th grade. I'm a co-partner with Chandler.
Hi, my name is Chastity. I'm 8 years old, and I'm going in 4th grade, and I'm a nitpicker.
And my name is Chance. I'm in 5th grade, going to the 6th, and I am a reformed picky eater.
And we have our mom and dad who are out there always supporting us, always looking out for us, always helping us and preparing us. And we just have everyone else who's been helping us. We have a list on our Kickstarter. Any questions, anyone? Yes, sir.
I really like it. I think you guys really understand your market because you are your market. That's always really convenient. I think the team part, you have a really good expansion plan there. But when you're selling to other kids through elementary school, the challenge there is you're not just selling to them. That in the end, the one that's going to be spending the money is going to be their parents. How do you plan to address that versus just telling the kids? I mean, you know, any kid can nag their parents long enough to get them to buy something, but that's a flip of the coin. How are you going to sell to the parents?
Well, we plan to send the kids home with different flyers and information that they can send to their parents. And then with their parents having in mind that kids don't like to cook and kids don't cook healthy, parents will want to see their kids getting in the kitchen, cooking healthy, and having fun, doing something other than really just sitting on the couch watching TV. So through the flyers and information we're going to send home, parents can go to our website, learn more about us, and then that way the parents can decide how they want to donate, what they want to do, what they want to buy. Any more questions?
Yes. Do you have any recipes? And if so, can you give me an example of one of them?
Okay, so we all have our favorite recipes. Well, each of ours is from a different place in Earth, and mine is Italian, his is Jamaican.
Yes, you have your turn.
My brown stew chicken with pigeon peas and rice.
Award-winning, right?
Yep. You win the.
I won a Uncle Ben's contest in the top 25, but I didn't go in the top five.
I have my favorite recipe would be rice volcanoes, which is just rice and chicken and vegetables stuff inside.
I have Chinese chicken salad, which I love the salad that's in it. It gives me the good experience of my life.
And then I have shrimp and sausage Alfredo. Any more questions?
Yes, I have one. So how did you become a reformed picky eater? I mean, I know you started with junk food. Tell me about the transition that you took coming from junk food to now healthy food.
Well, Chandler was my transformation. He's the one who got me off the couch playing video games and in the kitchen using broccoli and carrots. And then I just became from a junkie to a healthy.
What about the picky eater?
Oh, I was a really picky eater. I would only do half of my food if it's only what I like.
What about you, Sean? How did you start eating healthy?
I started eating healthy because I got sick, and I got sick because I kept eating junk food and sweets. So I tried everything to get my sickness away, even medicine, and nothing worked. So I had to eat healthier, but I didn't want to. So I did, and I got my siblings into eating healthier too, and so I'm encouraging kids to also eat healthier so they will have a better life.
Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Do you have any safety tips for kids that want to go in the kitchen and use the stove or anything else that may be dangerous?
Yeah, make sure you have your gloves and make sure your parents is right by you. Make sure that you don't hurt yourself. You're under control.
And then also make sure with our product line, we have different gadgets that will help prevent that. We have gloves, we have kid safety knives, we teach techniques on our webisodes, and also just make sure your parents have approved your cooking in the kitchen. Any more questions?
So in seeing your presentation, I actually have a suggestion. So we've had a presenter with a similar target market to yours as far as kids. And they're called Healthy Hip Hop. And what they do is they get kids off the couch to exercise. So one of the things that we can do here, they're out of Kansas City, and they also do webisodes, getting people to dance, to get off the couch, to exercise. So I think that there may be an opportunity to connect you guys. Would you be interested in that? To connect you guys with those guys? Because if you're helping with the food and they're helping with the exercise, we can really create super kids.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, hey, thank you very much for coming today and taking time out your busy cooking schedule for us. And so, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, so we have one more presenter. Oh, you can leave that there. We can take it down. You're okay with the stuff there? Oh, sure. Yes. I'm hungry. So, in continuing with the food theme that we have today, I'd like to bring up our second presenter. So from kids cooking to actually fundraising through something we all love to do, dining. And so without any further ado, I'd like to bring up Paul Couch2Kitchen of GroupRaise.
You got slides or anything?
Yeah. I can switch out slides.
It should be a PDF. No, school one. Yeah. There's a PDF. Full screen on the There you go.
Just tell me when
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Oh, yeah, here.
Hey guys, Paul from GroupRaise here, and so Anna's always telling me this is the entrepreneurial safe space, 1 million cups, and you know I do a lot of pitching. I'm not really a nervous guy. But the thing I want people to come with today, I want people to know that I don't have it all figured out. Even when we've gone through some tough times, I have a really good way to like stating my plan in a way and saying like, you know, oh, how we're gonna do it, make it sound like we got it all figured out. I want people to know that we don't, I guess is what it is. So what GroupRaise is we are the most delicious way to change the world. So what we do is we get community organizations, nonprofits, to do fundraising meals at local restaurants. So moms, soccer moms, sorority girls, cancer survivors, they do is they come to our website, they pick a date, they pick a restaurant, and then they book an event, promote the heck out of it, bring all their friends and family out to eat, and at the end of the night, the restaurant donates a fixed percentage of what they spend back to their cause. It's that easy. They don't. We don't take any cut of the sales from the night from the group. We want them to raise as much money as possible. On the restaurant's end, you know, they either pay us a subscription or per event to be listed, and they love us. I mean, for restaurants, this type of marketing they can't get access to very easily. In a lot of ways, fundraising is a very proven model in the restaurant industry. And we've seen very little in terms of once a restaurant's working with us, we've had very little challenge in like having them understand the value. In fact, the majority of restaurants that have a program like this want to do more of it anyway. They just don't have a system. Nobody's really ever standardized, systemized, and made it a scalable, repeatable concept. It tends to be very ad hoc in the restaurant industry. You know, the manager keeps it in his Yahoo Mail or keeps it in like jotted down on a piece of paper. So at the end of the year, corporate has to call and be like, "What fundraisers did you guys do? And like, where is the tax receipt so we can get a tax write-off?" And they go, "Oh, I think I lost half." That's sort of a very common occurrence. So, oh yeah, almost totally forgot the slides. Yeah, go ahead and change the slides. So here's an example of the site. We've got our meal page. We give the supporters to kind of help them organize the meal, collect RSVPs, and generally organize our supporters to come out on the meal night, go the next morning, and we turned that into this, a packed restaurant. And yeah, this is the real tangible sort of benefit that our restaurant partners love. Like, they see people, they know what's going on, everyone's there for a good cause. And you can go to the next slide. A couple of numbers just about the value prop for restaurants. About for every 100 people, so percentage-wise of a GroupRaise meal, about 100 are new visitors. 82% spend more than average. They go, yeah, I'll have another beer. It's for a good cause, right? And then 96% say they'll return for more. Go to the next slide. So we started here in Houston in 2011, and we've been growing for about 3 years, and we're now in 45 states, 180 communities, and 50 of those are major cities. So we're supposed to talk a little about how we were founded, and I'm not going to change slides, but we were founded because a longtime friend of mine, Devin Baptiste, went to elementary school with him all the way through high school. Always doing fundraisers and stuff, and frankly, it kind of sucked doing a bunch of, guilting your friends' parents into buying candy bars, right? It's like, nobody needs the 8th, year in a row of the same mail order wrapping paper. We thought there's got to be a better way. Well, sort of serendipity struck. At one point, a friend of ours whose parents owned an ice cream parlor, actually gelato place, went and was noticing just, business slows down at ice cream places in the winter. And he offered to hook him up with our high school band and said, "If we brought the band in, would you give some money back?" And he said, "Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess I can give you 15% back or so if you bring in the band." And he didn't really know what to expect, the owner manager, and our band. If you guys, anyone watching the webcast, doesn't know, Texas marching bands are a thing. They're a very serious thing. There's debate as to whether it is more serious or only equally as serious as Texas high school football. So there you go. We brought in 300 people to the ice cream parlor in the dead of winter, and the manager was not really ready. He didn't really see the vision ahead of time of what it could do. And this fundraiser, he had only one girl working the counter, and she's struggling to get ice cream for 300 or gelato for 300 people, and it was just intense. And there was this sort of tail after that, every week after week. People had never been there before, these students kept coming back. And so he said, there might be some value here. So fast forward, past college, I get a call from my old buddy Devin, and he's like, I'm thinking of starting a bit of a venture. So I want to do something good and help people integrate, doing good and giving back to their daily lives. And I thought it was neat. Personally, I'm a technologist, and I'm the kind of, anti-tech technologist. Like, I don't like tech for its own sake. I really only care when it's impacting people. And so that really spoke to me in a lot of ways. And so that's kind of where I joined up with them. I actually had a couple other teams I was talking to that wanted a technical co-founder, that sort of thing. And out of, let's say, the 4 teams that I was talking to, this is the one I believed in the most. And I say that not to be like, sit here bragging, like, I had so many options, I had so many teams that could join. It was more, I really want to say that I joined because of the team. Like, I feel honored to work with these guys. And you can skip a couple slides ahead. One more. These guys. I am so honored to work with these guys. This is Devin, our CEO. This is Kevin, our COO. And he's a very interesting gentleman in that his parents, he moved from Guatemala when he was 13, 14? I always get it a little bit off. And started a freight forwarding company, helped his parents grow the business since he was very young. It was myself. And Sean, Super Sean, is actually still a Korean, and he's currently living down in Santiago, working for us from there. But he is our chief marketing officer. So that's the team. That's where we're at. A couple notes on competition. In a broad sense, I can say anybody that helps fundraise for nonprofits, anybody that gets anybody into a restaurant is competition. And that's sort of like the VC safe answer, I guess, right? It's like, you never say you don't have competition, but you never want to pitch like you have exact competition. But honestly, trying to give like entrepreneurial safe space here, like this is the reality is in restaurants, they only have operational competition in that restaurants can only bring on so many new tools per quarter, per year. Look, it's easy for the marketing team to be like, we want to use this and that and that and that and that, and operations goes, slow down, I have to retrain 50,000 staff every time you want something new and shiny. And so one of our biggest competitions is just sort of the cycle of bringing things on with restaurants. Like a lot of them want us, but it's where can they fit us in what they're doing. at a more narrow level, the exact intersection of nonprofits, doing fundraising deals or raising money related to restaurants somehow. We've had two competitors that have kind of come and gone recently. One was called Live and Give. They started out of LA. They never really, I don't know, their website hasn't really added restaurants since 2013. If you guys are out there, I'm really curious how you're doing. Love to bump into you again. But let's see, there's another one that just started out of Philadelphia, I want to say, and they're focused on, I think they do gift card sales. So it's not exactly what we do. They don't have the exact same idea of filling the restaurant at a certain time or being able to list, groups in reliable ways at undercapitalized time, hours of the day. It's a gift card sales thing. So there is some intersection, there is some competition, but there's no one doing the exact slice that we're doing that delivers the exact same value prop. At least in my opinion. So, challenges coming up. I mentioned the operational element of the sales cycle in restaurants. That's for the large, what would be your more enterprise sales. You've got 200 restaurant locations or above. Or one of the big chains that has 1,500, 1,800, 2,000 locations. Those have just very, 6 months to even talk to them, to do a 3-month market test and that. There's a lot of challenges around that, and we've run through about 3 of those cycles now. We've actually, I feel like I think 2014 was kind of a year of 1 or 2 false starts for us that taught us a whole bunch. I'm not the guy that says, oh, there's a silver lining, because sometimes it is just, it's a silver lining, sure, but there's a big black cloud there. That's the silver lining is around. But this one we actually learned a whole bunch from one of our mistakes this past fall, and we're really excited about doing the next round this year, trying to get some big chains. Can't name names, obviously, because we're just talking to them, that type of thing. But for the smaller restaurants, mom and pop, we're not just there for big chains out in the suburbs or something. We really want to have a lot of local flavor mom and pop restaurants, and there's a difference in the operational capacity for them to use our tool at a different level, so we kind of build out our tools. You get a big chain to integrate with you fully, really buys into it, they'll have it in their training manual. Make sure new manager gets on the GroupRaise account, make sure they know what's going on. Getting a smaller restaurant to be that operationally efficient or aware, it's either more difficult or may never happen to kind of play with it and adjust it. We have a lot of local flavor restaurants. I think it's about 30 to 40% of our total listings right now. We're about 1,000 restaurants. So 300, 400 range. But there's a lot more we can explore there. That's one of our current sort of areas of focus. Another area of focus is just different types of nonprofits and groups and charities. We've captured the college market. We've got that. Sean, our marketer, Sean has his hand on the dial, and he can dial up or dial down the number of college-based events that will happen at any particular college or any restaurant that we have within a 3 to 5 mile radius of a college. It's almost scary, the predictability with which we can market to that group. But they're millennials, they get it, right? They're tech savvy, they really want to see change in the world, but they're also lazy. So you tell them you can eat out and it'll raise money for a charity, and they go, sign me up. So it's that type of connection where people understand that we're trying to integrate giving back in their daily lives. But other types of nonprofits, large national ones, we'd like to form a big partnership of some sort. We haven't really had an opportunity and experience to do that just yet with, I will say an example, the American Cancer Society, American Diabetes Association. We'd love to do a larger partnership of some sort with a large national nonprofit that breaks down into subgroups. Church groups are another one that we know we've undertapped. We can put effort into it. Once we do, I'll have a lot more to say about it. And lastly, I'm supposed to go through and maybe have some advice. And my number one advice for a young startup, we've been doing this for almost 3.5 years, got to update my mental pitch on that one, is apply for everything. We didn't take any funding until just 4 weeks ago, it's kind of a blur. The Chilean government gave us some money to be part of their first ever scale program down in Santiago. But apply for everything. Half of history is showing up, and I get a lot of people that are very high achievers in the corporate world or in college, and they really want to do a startup, and they get this kind of attitude of, well, I want to apply for this, but I'm not sure, I probably won't win anyway. There are 100 people out there who are thinking that too, and so you might as well apply, because your competition is thinning itself. Don't thin the competition ahead of time. apply for everything. The number of things, the opportunities we've gotten, like the Chile thing, happened because we heard while traveling and visiting startup communities in Europe. We were in Berlin and we had a drink with a guy and he told us about Startup Chile. And we're like, well, the deadline's like a week or two away, and like I don't know, like Santiago, what is that even going to be doing for it? And turns out it's been completely transformative for our team, our operation, what we're doing, and now they give us some funding too. So just apply to everything. You can always say no, even if they take you. So yeah. Any questions?
Yes. Noah Radler, I really appreciate what you all are doing. How do you find, what's your strategy for getting new restaurants? First, are restaurants your customers?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How do you go about getting new restaurants, new customers?
So, I mean, the short answer is any way we can. Anytime I have lunch somewhere that I haven't had it before, I'll ask to talk to the manager. You know, if it's not like the busy middle of lunch, like, I'll stay up and be like, hey, can I talk to the manager? Bring my card, that type of thing. But frankly, a lot of it comes down to restaurant industry news. It's one of the few places that press releases still actually work. Like, I'm kind of a little bearish on tech press releases with regards to most consumer segments, but it's like, but with restaurants, everybody still reads a lot of the news. The strategy is really bifurcated into the smaller restaurants, mom and pop, nonprofit, and that tends to almost treat them more like consumers, email marketing, direct mail, that type of thing, like just direct outreach to them. And then on the other hand, the large change it's just cold calling, smiling and dialing. I mean, there's you can try and find soft connections and all that stuff, but it's not worth it to wait around and just find your big targets, find the ones that for us, one of the big things is finding brands that we think are already positioning themselves or have in the past attempted to position themselves in a very community-focused way, wherein we already know there's organizationally a desire to do this, to work with the community and be a part of it, but they just haven't been able to take it to the next level because they don't have the tools around it. So those are the two sides of that. Follow up?
Yeah. All right. Second part: is there a way? Do you all have a process by which a restaurant can come to you, or someone out in the public in the community can make suggestions and make that connection? If so, like, how does that work? So for example, say I have a restaurant that I think would benefit from this, maybe a beneficial relationship. What would I do to get that restaurant on your list?
Yeah, actually, we do have a way for you to suggest a restaurant. Particularly, we actually have a lot of groups that want to come on and use our platform, but we don't have a restaurant near them yet. And so, maybe their favorite one is just not listed, right. And there's literally suggest a restaurant button, and you fill in literally you just list your group's name, how many people you got, the restaurant's name, and like city and one contact info if you can, right? A phone number, an email, or something like that. But honestly, it almost doesn't matter. We'll do the hard work of getting them on the platform, and then let the group know when we've got them on to say, okay, you can book fundraisers here now. On the other end, the restaurants, our website, you can, if you were a restaurant, you can just go and sign up. Like GroupRaise, www.groupraise.com/restaurants, and it's all right there. We have a per event model. It's, no over stage get listed and you pay per event. We have a subscription one if you just want to run a whole bunch of fundraisers and not have to pay for it every time. It's a subscription to go and list your restaurants there. Yep.
So I have a question, Paul. What's interesting here is that to gain traction, you actually left the country. So I want you to speak a little bit more about that because, for example, in entering other countries, I travel internationally myself, the business climate is totally different. The relationships, the cultures, there's just so many things are totally different. So when you got to Chile, what were some of the things that you were doing to adapt, I guess?
Well, in some cases, some of the larger brands we were already working with or talking to had a couple locations down in Santiago. It's not only the largest city in Chile, but it's about half the population lives there. Someone's Chilean will correct me, I think it's a little less than half. But it's, so we had some relationships there. We've actually run now GroupRaise events in Chile as well. So we've incorporated there and everything like that. Getting off the ground there from a business climate perspective, yeah, there's challenges. Basically, having traveled through Europe and some of the startup communities and looked at exploring and expanding there, and then in Santiago now, I'll say that if you have any plans there, like, talk to people that are there locally, people who have done it before. Do not underestimate the amount of time it takes to get the corporation incorporated, and the bank account. Those are the big two. In fact, and for every country it's different. Like some, it's like, it won't take forever. In some, it's like, well, one of them is like, once you get one, you can get the other really easily, vice versa, what have you. And there's other little tricks. So really just talking to, I mean, I can speak specifically to Chile, but for example, a lot of people will go to Europe, and I know that in London, one of the big things, we're touring like accelerators and like co-working spaces and all these things. And everyone's like, oh, we'll get you your bank account in like 6 months. And the one's like, oh yeah, we're really working hard. We've got a good relationship with thus and such bank, and we might be able to get that down to 3 months. And I'm just going like, 3 months to what? I mean, you really don't grasp how, they say America's business friendly, but you really don't grasp how business friendly until you realize that, I could write the papers for 3 corporations and this week, get them done by next week and file bank accounts for all of them, the 3rd week. And just knowing the timeline is important. Having it as an unknown is the challenge. Once you know it, you can sort of plan accordingly. That's what I would say for sure. Now, there's internationalization, getting your product out there and knowing which particulars of your market and this and that, and that's a whole other discussion because, for example, the idea of giving back and doing charity-based events so everyone knows those school spirit nights, right? Billy is on the football team and his uncle owns the local bar and grill, so everybody eats there and they don't have money back, buy the jerseys or what have you, sponsorship. People are familiar with that model here, and some countries that's something that they're also familiar with, and other countries they're not. In Chile, thankfully, there is some history that we can build off of. Culturally, people are aware of that sort of idea, and the restaurants that weren't aware of it, once we told them what it was, they were like, "Holy crap, you can do that? You can bring people in, and by like doing something good." I was like, "Yeah, doing good makes good business sense." So, anybody else?
What do the restaurants get for signing up? Is there like a listing, a database that is public access, recommendations for the restaurant? How does that work?
So like I said, that's been one of the things we're working on building right now. A lot of it is sort of the onboarding tools, particularly for smaller mom and pop restaurants, local restaurants. Big brands, they have a lot of, and even medium, when I say medium, I mean from 50 to say 500 restaurant locations. They've got some process, and it's more about figuring out where we can integrate with their process and how. For us, one of the biggest things is we have a series of recommendations of how to market your events, how to stay in touch with the community. Effectively, there'll be a couple of contact people depending on the restaurant. If it's so even 5 locations or less, it's either going to be the owner or maybe if someone who's doing marketing for you, community stuff for you, be that person. We have video series, kind of like a learning center you can go in. But all of our emails for the first couple events you have are a little extra spammy. Like we're like, hey, you should go in and do it's not like, hey, you have a GroupRaise notification or hey, you have a meal request. It's very much like, you have a meal request. Remember, this means you need to go and accept it within the next 3 days, or the groups kind of be wondering, hey, what the heck is going on with these guys? So we have a lot of learning tools for that, and we want to expand those. Public database, it's more of, the model is more right now that we list the restaurant and we help market to groups, and we also recommend that you help market to any groups you know of, and you just tell them to go to your GroupRaise. Oh, probably skip over one of the most important ones. We give every restaurant partner a white label brand portal that's specifically to them. So you don't say go to GroupRaise and then worry they might sign up for another restaurant. We give you a safe place to send your customers where it only shows your locations. If you happen to be a semi-regional restaurant or like just within one state, say you got locations 2 in Houston, 2 in Dallas, San Antonio, and Austin, it will geolocate and only show them the ones near them. But if they want to click over to Austin or whatever, it'll still only show your locations, that sort of thing. And getting actually probably the biggest determinant of success is less about our ability to market to the groups, because we can, but it's sometimes hard for us to know the spread of who's doing what and when, and we're building some analytics on the back end to make that a lot easier. But the most powerful thing is when the restaurant uses the tools we give them, some of the email marketing tools, some other things that, and most importantly, gets a link on their website, a little fundraise with us button. That links out to their brand portal on GroupRaise, and that we've shown is like the tipping point between we're driving you some events, and then like the restaurant itself is it just puts it on their site and whoosh, then the restaurant is generating more events than we could even ever hope to with all of our technical talent and tools. the restaurant itself, when you have your staff and cashiers and everybody trained on servers to say, somebody says, hey, I want to do a fundraiser. You guys do any fundraising events? And they go, yeah, just go to our website and click the fundraising link. And then it takes you to our thing, and we take care of the whole process end to end for you. Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions. First, you guys only took money recently, so you bootstrapped this pretty much a good part of the way. I like you to kind of go into that a little bit because that's an option that's not always explored. And the second question is that you guys, can you kind of differentiate as far as accelerators for a startup, for example? When do I know that an accelerator, for example, is good for me? Because that's a question that comes up quite a bit.
So I'm giving some love to Chile. I should also throw a word out to Tech Wildcatters, another accelerator we went through initially. So we've gotten a small bit of funding in the low 5 figures once, and now we've gotten a low 6 figures from Chile as well. But accelerator, the Tech Wildcatters, is mostly about mentorship and process and restaurant industry connections, these sorts of things, customers, learning our customer. So first off, your first part of your question, bootstrapping. So bootstrapping, I'm going to push back. I think that it is something that's explored a lot more. I think that the media around startups, I think that the culture and media and buzz around startups does not treat it with equal weight, because there's no big exciting thing of like they raised $8 million, oh now it's like $80 million. And it's not as press driven in that regard, but I mean studies from the Kauffman Foundation show that even among high-tech, high-growth startups, still a large percentage of them, more than the ones that end up taking investment, even of those that succeed, they still end up bootstrapping at least some of the way. People talk about, this is a little bit like 2 or 3 years ago now, but like Pinterest, for instance, right? They were going for like 3 years before they blew up out of nowhere and started taking funding to try and generate more revenue and figure out what their strategy was. It's with regards to bootstrapping, for us, part of it was there was a phase where we were looking for investment. There was a phase where we thought, hey, we might want to take some investment, let's explore, let's talk to some investors. We had some interest, we had some not, but we're one of those, we tended to be kind of protective and wanted to take the smart money. I know that's separate. No one ever says, no, I really didn't want the smart money, I wanted with the dumb money, right? But what we meant by that is like someone that understood restaurant marketing or restaurant operations. And it was a little hard to find somebody that had meaningful advice when it came to, or experience in that industry, that also understood technology to really grasp the level of what we could do in the vision, right? People that do healthcare, people that are in, energy, people that are in manufacturing, they'll invest, if they make multi-million dollars, they'll invest in a couple tech companies because they understand the outsized risk return of software-based companies. People that make a lot of money doing restaurants or bars, they just open more restaurants and bars. That's just the model. So it's a lot harder to come across somebody. And we've now kind of met a few people where it's kind of like, okay, now if we really decided to raise a larger round, we know who we talk to, but it took some time because those people just they're not going out to, startup pitch events and that type of thing. So for us, it was initially not a choice. Then it was after a while, we're like, okay, we found some people, but we're getting revenue and we're doing okay. And like all of us are not, we still got some savings and we're starting to get revenue. And thankfully, that tipping point happened. Like there was like 2 weeks of my life where the bank account did hit like $5, and then I spent that on an app, like 5 for $1, green apples and some other things, and I had my roommates took me out to dinner twice or something, and then the check came in, and then so we had that inflection point, that moment. But no, accelerators, right? Was the other part of your question? Accelerators it's a crowded space. It's an interesting thing. I think that we're going to hit an oversaturation point. We may have already hit it. I couldn't tell you. I think that there are now, depending on how you want to define it, there are 2,000 plus accelerators in the U.S. coming up on 3 maybe, depending on how you want to measure it. And that's only the ones that different groups know about and can aggregate things on. Who knows how many other things are out there calling themselves accelerators. I think part of it is that we've a lot of people have lost the distinction between an accelerator and an incubator. I think there's still a place for incubators, but it's so 90s.com bubble that no one calls themselves an incubator anymore, even if what they're doing really tends to be a more incubator-style process. So I think that knowing what you need and knowing what that accelerator can provide is the most important thing. I think that for the majority of companies, it should be either a mentorship network or it needs to have access to your customer. You need to move forward in either sales or marketing or your customer's revenue. There needs to be a jump happen there somewhere, right? It's either going to be your customer is an investor because your type of play is going to take longer. You're going to need, $2 million to develop even, your initial product, or you need it in a way that can connect you to. So for us, we went to Tech Wildcatters because in Dallas they have the highest concentration of restaurant retail headquarters, period, in the country. I mean, just the nature of when the industry came together and coalesced, like there was Chicago and Dallas as like the two places that were midway in the country, and that is where you got a lot of the concentration of headquarters. So we went there because in their network, which is a really strong mentorship network, and we saw some people that, I'm actually going up to Dallas next week to stay in touch with our mentors up there, okay? And, but even the ones that were not in the restaurant industry, it's like, oh yeah, I golf with one of the guys at Brinker or something like that, right? That type of thing, right? And so the network there allows you to get access to or understand what it takes to sell to someone like that. On a more consumer angle, you need to have somebody, the accelerator needs to be able to connect you with somebody who has done the type of mass marketing for the type of customer segment. If you're selling to, preteen girls, congratulations, you're selling to preteen girls, like one of the most lucrative market segments in existence. Bad news, now you're selling to preteen girls, right? You need to have somebody that has the experience that has done some of that marketing before. And Accelerator's job is to connect you with that person or have that in their network. The funding is almost completely secondary, right? If you look at the money that's involved in that, like it's a terrible amount of money. It's expensive money, as it were, right? And different accelerators have different reputations for taking companies to different stages, right? So Tech Wildcatters does tend to take companies, or at the time it's mostly taking companies that were a little bit earlier. We were, I think, about on the high end of sort of the median sort of range of when we've been around for like 18 months. And that was the time. They've had now a much wider spread since then. But, talk to the alumni there. Just talk to companies that went through and get an honest opinion. And talk to people in that city when you're there. If you have to go there for a demo or something like that, just talk to some of the other, if they have some little happy hour or something afterward, talk to the people there outside of it. Ask them to get coffee the next day and kind of get an unfiltered opinion where it's not the accelerator paying for the drinks. Just like really figure out what's going on. I had when we applied to Tech Wildcatters, we went and did a little quick pitch for them. I remember there was one guy who was really, really raw with me about some stuff in like the best way possible about what Tech Wildcatters did for him, what it didn't do for him, and just a bunch of things. And then he got on my case too about my company and me kind of getting a little too ahead of myself and where we were as a company, and I appreciated that too. Anything else I want to say about accelerators is don't treat it. This is to anybody watching who maybe is just out of college or maybe has been in a very fast-paced post-college job, maybe watching on the webcast. Don't treat it like college admissions. That's another thing. I see people, the younger they are, especially from the more Ivy League elite schools type thing, or even the top state schools, they will treat it like college admissions, and it's not about getting the biggest name possible. It is about fit, right? I have one person I knew who was really, really, really in love with Rock Health, right? Top like accelerator for healthcare products. The companies they bring in sell to big hospitals, right? $2 million contract for one customer. But her product was more of a consumer-focused health thing. And she kept going to Rock Health and going and going and go to their office. And they really liked her, but they really liked the product too. And they made some connections. But they were like, hey, you're not gonna. One robot.
I think the mic is going out.
Oh, okay. I can yell, or we can change it.
Yeah, we could yell. Go ahead.
All right. Well, she was going to Rock Health, and she applied in the end and didn't get in. She was kind of bummed, but the reality is that that's just not their fit. Like if they accepted her, they wouldn't be able to do